This game sucks. It really blows. It's so bad that all these characters are overly sexualized. Really, seriously. Enough of that, I'm just kidding. Honestly, this game is really great. But it's not as great as most people seem to be. Most people make it seem so. And the reason is because it has one fatal flaw. Only one. To me, in my personal opinion. And this fatal flaw is that the game is just too damn short, story-wise. I mean, you can play for hundreds of hours in this game, but you will be only playing the same and the same over and over and over again. I'm not sure I have an issue on that. A lot of people do, some others don't. To each their own, you know. Everybody has their own opinion. Now, in my opinion, I think it's a flaw because, okay, it's an RPG, but it's also a brawler, like sort of like a beat 'em up. I mean, you fight in a 2D environment with 4 characters. You can only play as one, and it has a co-op mode, so you can play with a friend, and it also has an online mode, so you can play with unknown people. So these unknown people, you never really get to meet them, to know who they are. You see their usernames, and I think that's about it. There's no real interaction with them, and that's okay because this is a console RPG, not a MMORPG. But at some points, it feels like you're playing one when you're in the online mode. And to make matters worse, the online mode, you can only unlock it after you reach a certain part of the game. I mean, it's not available right away when you first buy the game and put it on your PlayStation 3 and you start it. Nope, you cannot play the online mode yet. That's, you know, it's a controversy. A lot of people seem to be okay with that. I wasn't okay. I really wanted to play online, like from the very beginning. They may have the reasons why they did it this way, but they probably thought if everybody could play the game online at the beginning, there will obviously be a lot of level 1 players fighting alongside level 20 players. And which I understand that sucks to most people. They don't want that. If I'm a level 20 player, if my character is level 20 or level 30, and all of a sudden there's a guy in my party who's level 1, he's just gonna keep dying over and over again. That's the same with all MMORPGs. But this is not an MMORPG. So I have a mixed opinion on that. I think it's bad. It sucks, but you know, that's just my opinion. There's a lot behind it, obviously, and a lot of things that I probably haven't considered, and there are a lot of things that I probably don't know. I'm not Vanillaware, obviously, so I have no clue why they made it that way. So okay, on to the game. As I was saying at the beginning, it's as you can see right now, it doesn't really look like an RPG. It looks that way because it's medieval, because you start in a town, you recruit characters, you can buy stuff, you can level up, blah blah blah. You have there's a story, of course. You go into the castle and they give you your missions, and you get to decide what to do and what not to do, etc. And so overall, it's an RPG, it's a JRPG. But the battle system, as you can see right now, it's a brawler, and there's tons of enemies. Sometimes the game, you know, the PS3 version, I don't think it lags that much. I mean, only a couple of times. And the PS Vita version, I've heard that it can lag sometimes because there's a lot of characters. There's a lot of shit going on the screen. So it obviously lags on a small screen like the PS Vita version. And a lot of people have criticized this game because the characters are overly sexualized. I mean, look at this lady right here. Come on, can there be any more suggestive position for a character to be talking to you, or a narrator explaining things to you with that image right there. But it's Vanillaware. I have, people complain about this. The characters are overly sexualized. Look right now, the sorceress right there. Her breasts are huge, and she looks. She's still gorgeous. But the Amazon warrior, people have criticized her because she looks so bad, like deformed, like grotesque, like they stepped over the line, right? And I have a different opinion. I used to be like all of you who think that way, who think, oh, this is just too overly sexualized. Why do they do this? But Vanillaware always does that. From the very first game they made, which is Green Grimoire for the PS2, and some of the guys from Vanillaware worked on Princess Crown for the PS1 and the Sega Saturn. They're always been like that. It's their style. Come on, imagine if you watch a horror movie or a gore movie, and when the movie ends, you complain about being too gored. There's a lot of blood in it. And, are you stupid? It's their style. It's made on purpose. That's supposed to be that way. So I think it's the same case with Vanillaware games. And I imagine that if one day somebody interviews them, asking them about this particular topic, they will probably answer the same. Like, yes, we did it this way on purpose because it's how we like it. This is our style. And some of you may find it grotesque. In my personal opinion, I don't really like it, but I don't really mind because the game is too freaking awesome. It's so addicting, and there's not much to say that hasn't already been said by a lot of game reviewers. I am not a professional game reviewer, obviously not. So I'm just stating my thoughts on it, and I think it's a sort of like a silly criticism because it's their style. So if you're gonna play a Vanillaware game, you already know what you're getting into. So that's all I wanted to say about that particular topic. Now, I don't think this game is perfect. In terms of gameplay. Like I said, it lags sometimes in the PS Vita version. In the PS3, it lagged a little while I was playing, but that was just like one or two times, and I really didn't care. But the problem with this game is that even though the graphics are cool and the art is beautiful, like I said, and like you've already probably watched in this video, sometimes there's just so much crap going on the screen that it's overwhelming. Most of the time you cannot see what you're doing. Right now in this video I'm playing as the archer, and if you pay close attention, sometimes I'm just making stupid things. I'm just fooling around, and I'm button mashing my controller, really, because there's a big boss on the screen that takes like 80% of the screen. There's other three characters making crap, casting magic, jumping around, swinging their weapons, etc. And on top of that, there's the background things like the box over there and little details. The game looks beautiful, but really, as a brawler, as a beat 'em up, I think it failed a little on that because, come on, look at it. Can you understand what's going on? Can you really see exactly what each of the characters fighting the Chimera are doing? No, right? So most of the time you get lost, and this is just a boss fight. There are several parts in the dungeons where you get to fight like 10 enemies at the same time, and it's madness. It's just madness. And as a brawler, this game equals a button mashing game. Most of the time you're just button mashing, expecting to hit somebody with your sword or with your arrows or whatever, and that's a flaw. I think that's a defect, but at the same time that's what makes it fun. Because you can play it on easy mode, on normal mode, and on hard mode. No, I think it's easy and hard only. But the point is that if you play on easy, you're just fooling around and then you die. I mean, the game, what I'm trying to say is that the game is very friendly. The gameplay is very friendly with you. It's not that hard. The game is not hard at all, unless you play it on hard mode, obviously. And so, therefore, this little defect that I'm talking about, it doesn't really ruin the game. It doesn't really ruin the experience. So, because it's fun just to button mash, just to fool around and just, depend on your party members and whatever. I really recommend playing this game with a friend because it has a co-op mode. That's more fun than playing by yourself, but if you play by yourself, it's faster, and you sometimes your friend will not, keep up the pace with you. But it's really fun. It's a really fun game. The story is nice. I was really liking the story. I was really enjoying the story until all of a sudden it ended. Seriously, like the story is just too short. I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but I think that's one of the fatal flaws of this game. The story is just too damn short. Not even 10 hours of story gameplay. So now I have nothing to do with my life. So in the meantime, you go and get your hands on this awesome game, because even though the story is really short, it's still a wonderful experience. And me, I'm just gonna, now that I finished the game, I'm just gonna go stare at it or whatever. Man, do I look pissed over there. I made a review in Spanish of this game about 2 years ago, maybe more, and I was really disappointed. So, welcome to my Resonance of Fate review in English. This game originally came out for the PS3 and the Xbox 360. I first heard about this game thanks to a friend. He and I are both fans of Tri-Ace. Tri-Ace is the company that developed this game, and it also developed the Valkyrie Profile series. So my friend and I are both fans of that series, and when he heard about this game, he was like, "No, I refuse to play it. This is horseshit." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna listen to you. I'm just not gonna play the game. A game that combines JRPG elements with shooter elements, not for me." And as you can see right now, the graphics are pretty awesome. But that's just one of the very few things that I like about this game. The real graphics are these ones. Yeah, you might think the program that I'm using to record, to capture the gameplay is to blame, but nope. This is how the real graphics of the game look like. Pretty bad, right? At least when you're in towns and all that stuff, they look just terrible. And the letters, the dialogues, they're just too small. But anyway, as I was saying, I heard about this game like 5-6 years ago, thanks to that friend. And then a couple of years ago, I played Project Cross Zone for the Nintendo 3DS. And in both games, these characters are included. They make an appearance in that game. They are party members in that game. And I was like, okay, I like these characters, I'm gonna give them a chance. And I bought the game, and I was pretty disappointed. As you can see right now, there are a lot of tutorials to read on how to play the game. But come on, nobody does that. Nobody reads the manual. Nobody reads these sort of things so you can learn how to play the game. If you want to learn how to play the game, you play it, and the game itself explains to you while you're playing it how to play it. But this game has so many flaws. Like right here, this is the map system. To get to anywhere in this game, you have to use X's, and you can get this X's from battling enemies or from, I don't freaking remember. And yeah, while you're thinking of how to move to one place to another, or where to place these hexes, you get random encounters. And as you can see right now, I literally got thrown in battle without knowing what to do or how to play the game. I mean, it's not like it's a normal classic turn-based system or a classic action RPG. No, this is a very complex battle system. I have no idea why this makes this so complicated, and this is the reason why I really disliked this game back then. Okay, I hated this game. I don't hate it right now. I think over the years I managed to appreciate it a little bit more, but I don't think I'm going to ever play this game again or give it a chance again, like never. It really turned me down, it turned me off. But you know, I admit it's a good game. I admit to you it may be a masterpiece or a really fun game, but not to me. I just didn't like it. This is not the game for me. And let's just talk about the battle system, which is actually the main flaw of the game, in my opinion. I had no idea how I beat this battle. Like really, I was only button mashing my controller, seriously, and I don't know why. And there's actually a place, this is it, as a matter of fact, it's called the Arena, I believe, in which you can play the tutorials to learn how to play this game. But look at this, there are over 20 tutorials. And yes, you might think, do you actually need to do this? No, right? Like I did, you know, I played like 2 or 3 tutorials and I said, just fuck it, I'm gonna play the game. And I didn't get any far at all. In the first boss battle, I just played miserably. I had no idea what to do and I fucked up. And yeah, as you can see, the game gives you tips. It gives you an explanation of what to do and how to do it. But it's still not enough. I mean, who the hell is going to play 20 damn tutorials? And yes, you need them. Believe it or not, they are necessary in order to understand the complexity of this game. It's just so complex. And you know, when it comes to complex things, I like complexity in books. I like complexity in movies. Oh, in other words, I like complexity in stories. And I'm told this game has a very complex story, and I like that. But I don't like when battle systems are unnecessarily complex, unnecessarily complicated, and unnecessarily frustrating, because this game is hard. The tutorials are, you know, even the tutorials are hard. Even though you get an explanation of how to do things and what to do, it's still not enough. I mean, do you understand what's going on here? I mean, just look at it. You really need to play this game. I recommend playing it just so you can formulate your own opinion on the matter. Maybe, I understand that once you get the gist of it, once you finally get the gist of it, it may turn into a really fun game, a really good game. It's quite challenging, but seriously, it's just too damn complex and too damn frustrating. Look at this, look at me. This is the epitome of frustration. Well, this video was like around 2 years ago. As you can see, I'm really pissed off. And this was a fun thing to do. I was only joking. I ranted a lot in this video, and at the end I was only trying to destroy it with things with a cross. And finally I found a knife, and I plan on cutting the game, blah blah blah. It's just comedy. But the point of the game, in conclusion, it's not a bad game at all. It's just that sometimes some games are not for you. In this case, this game is not for me. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. It really turned me off. So, the last thing I have to say is play the game, and you be the judge. And no, don't worry, I didn't cut the game in half, I sold it. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Rogue Galaxy for the PlayStation 2 is a great action JRPG. But a lot of people say that this is one of the greatest JRPGs of all time, and it's a total masterpiece and all that. I disagree by a little bit, because even though I considered it to be a great game, even though I finished the game and I liked it, it made me rage quit a couple of times. Well, not rage quit, let's just say it was more like fed up quit. Like I was playing the game and every once in a while I got, pretty fed up, pretty sick of it, like, oh Jesus. And why? Well, that's because it has a lot of random encounters and the dungeons are sometimes too long. And if we add the fact that this is a pretty hard game, yes, every once in a while you just need a break and go play something else. So let us venture into this beautiful masterpiece that a lot of you consider it to be your favorite game, your favorite JRPG, and I'm not against any of that, like I said. So let's begin this review and explain to you, in my opinion, why this game is not that great. Okay, so welcome to my Rogue Galaxy review. First things first. When we play the game, when we put it on the PlayStation 2 and we start the game, this screen appears to us. It's a resume of the story. And what does it remind you of? Star Wars, right? Yeah, the game is futuristic, it's about galaxies and corruption between governments and creepy organizations, etc. And I will say that the game is influenced by Star Wars, but they just have nothing to do with each other, really. And so the first thing we look at after that is the graphics, the cinematics right here. As you can see, they're beautiful, and we notice the cell shading style, which is awesome. I am a fan of that style. This game was made by Level 5. You probably know Level 5 for their masterpiece Dragon Quest VIII, which in my opinion is the best Dragon Quest ever, also for the PlayStation 2. This game has a good story, it's a very decent. It starts a little cliché because the protagonist, Jaster Rogue, he dreams about being a space pirate. And coincidentally, the first incident in the game, he meets with two other characters which are looking to recruit the famous legendary mercenary called Desert Claw. And these two guys you see here, they're robots. And well, look at one of the robots. He will remind you of a certain older robot from Star Wars, right? Anyway, too many references to that famous movie saga. In any case, the point is that they confused Jaster, the main character, for Desert Claw. So they recruit him and they invite him to become a space pirate working for a big pirate, I don't remember the name. And Jaster becomes very excited, and so the quest begins. It's a quest about going around galaxies from the entire universe, etc. It's a great game, so I think the strong points of this game are the graphics and maybe the gameplay. But I have a problem with the gameplay, because I think the concept of the game is what people praise, and I understand that. Cell shading, it's an action JRPG, you go around with your party members, as you can see right now. But there's two fatal flaws in this game. They don't ruin the experience, but they make it a little less enjoyable than it should have been. First of all, random encounters. When you're playing, I don't know, any other JRPG with random encounters, most of the time you either get used to them, or you're already used to them, or they are not as annoying as in this game. Because I don't know why, it feels as if the random encounters stop drastically the flow of the game. So you're walking around and you get a random encounter interrupting you immediately, and then you start fighting with your sword, like in a hack and slash system, whatever. It's awesome. The battle system is awesome. The only thing I don't like about the battle system is that sometimes when you're fighting, you get let's just say you get tired and you need to wait a while in order to keep fighting. That's annoying. I didn't like that part, but whatever, I can deal with that. I got used to it. The game is really hard, so if you consider the following two things, you might agree with me, maybe. Okay, the dungeons in this game, or the areas, are extremely long, and if we add the fact that there's a ton of random encounters, Sometimes you're just walking 5 seconds and you get a random encounter, and then 5 seconds later another random encounter. And if we add that the fact that you get tired by fighting and you have to wait for like a couple of seconds, at least 5 seconds I believe, until you can keep on fighting, it's really upsetting. I mean, I think that's a flaw of the game. It shouldn't have been made that way, because in my opinion it's just stupid. Come on, it ruins the flow of the battle and it ruins the flow of the gameplay. And the camera also is not that good. It's also a defect, but you get used to it, you can handle it, and overall at the end it's a wonderful game. Okay, so those are my only complaints, or other than that, it's a wonderful game. So guys, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. The Last Story for the Nintendo Wii. A beautiful game developed by the famous company Mistwalker, created by Hironobu Sakaguchi. Yup, the creator of Final Fantasy. And they also made Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon for the Xbox 360. I have the special edition here. Unfortunately, I don't have the art book, so it's just the box and the game, but that's what I got. So anyway, let's take a look at this wonderful game and to see if it is worthy of being called The Last Story. So, welcome to my review. First things first, when this game came out in 2012, a lot of people thought that because of the title of the game, The Last Story, this was allegedly supposed to be the last game developed by Hironobu Sakaguchi. But nope, that was just a rumor, and they are still making games, in case you didn't know. But I think this was the last, so far, the last famous game by that company. But it doesn't have anything to do with the title. I mean, it's not Hironobu's last game, don't worry. And let's start with the gameplay. As you can see, it's an action JRPG, and it's really good. But a lot of people complain at the beginning because when you play this game for the first time, it has an auto-attack system, sort of like Final Fantasy 12, and a lot of people didn't like that, including me. But most of them apparently didn't know that they could change this in the menu to a standard action battle mode, in which you can just smash the buttons of your controller and attack like in any other hack and slash game. They didn't know that, and they complained a lot about that. But after they knew, like, the criticism went from negative to positive. And I really like this game because it's so dynamic. I mean, in the battles, you not only have to beat all the enemies or just kill the boss and all that stuff like the usual. It's so dynamic because in most of the missions you have to do something entirely different. Sometimes you have to find a switch, or to block an enemy, or to trap it, or to kill it in a certain way, or to use certain types of magic, or to whatever. It's so dynamic. There's a huge variety in this game in terms of gameplay, and that's why I loved it. That's why it's so unique and cool. Your characters die a lot, as you can see right now. Sometimes that's a little frustrating every once in a while, because some of the enemies, especially some bosses, they can one-hit kill you, and that sucks. But as for your allies, they can come back over and over again, they can revive. And as for your protagonist, Sail, you get, I think, 10 life points, and once you die 10 times, it's game over. So the game is hard, but not that hard. Like I said, it's so dynamic that some of the battles are a little annoying, some others are not. In any case, it's not hard at all. It's decent, it's a good challenge, and that's just a really enjoyable game. Now the graphics. As you saw before, the game has some really dark graphics, some dark tones, a lot of gray, a lot of brown, a lot of black, and that can get a little confusing at times. Sometimes you don't even know where your enemies are, or how, or even how they look like, and that's about the only thing that I didn't like about this game. That the graphics, even though in the cinematics, as you can see right now, are extremely good, I mean, to my opinion and my taste, They are really good, and for being the Nintendo Wii, these are great graphics. The characters' expressions may not be that good, but it's still great nonetheless. But right now, take a look, and the graphics just most of the dungeons, most of the scenarios in this game are like this, are a little dark, and sometimes you get lost, sometimes you don't know what to do, and that can be frustrating and frustrate your experience every once in a while. But it's nothing you can't handle. I mean, it doesn't kill the entire experience, and you can move on, and you technically get used to it. Another thing that I liked about this game is that the characters can sometimes change their dresses. For example, if you buy or equip a certain vest or boots or a jacket, they actually wear it in the game. As you can see right now, they have different armors. I thought that was cool. That's realistic, because in most of the JRPGs you equip a lot of things and the character design just stays the same. But anyway, that's another thing that I really liked about this game. Now, the story is really good. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but I'm just going to say it's Hironobu Sakaguchi. If you've played any Final Fantasy game, you will notice his style, his storytelling, and there's a lot of romanticism in this game, not just because there's this classic romance between the main characters, but because there's also a lot of fantasy stuff in this game. It's got the classic friendship stuff, companionship stuff, and all that jazz. So it's not that great, the story, but it's good nonetheless. The music is awesome. It's by Nobuo Uematsu. It's not as awesome. The soundtrack is not as awesome as Lost Odyssey or like many of the other Final Fantasy games, but it's still great nonetheless. It really goes really good with the music, with the video game. So that's just great. In conclusion, I really recommend this game. It's one of the greatest action JRPGs for the Nintendo Wii, and you just can't miss it. The only downfall, as you can see right now, is that sometimes because of the graphics you don't know where to go or what to do, but like I said, you get used to it. So in conclusion, it's a wonderful game, it's a masterpiece. Go and play the game. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. It's a random day, and you do the usual. You have so many great JRPGs and are craving for something new. Something different. So you start searching through all those awesome games until all of a sudden you find yourself with The Last Remnant. Wait, The Last Remnant? No! No, 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 no! I put this game on my top 10 best JRPGs for the Xbox 360 only because I had nothing else to fill up the list with. It's pathetic to see that this console doesn't even have 15 JRPGs that made it out of Japan. But anyways, let's begin with the cinematics. They look awesome. For a game of the last generation, I'd say they are very, very good. Impressive, actually. The music is really good too. Not that great, but notoriously decent. And well, that's pretty much everything positive there is to say about this game. Look, the thing is, all is okay with The Last Remnant. The cinematics, the graphics, the music, the story, the gameplay, except the horrible battle system. I understand Square Enix was trying to go for something unique and different from your everyday classic RPG, but they failed. And trust me, I've seen games that are unique and different at the same time, but they're good. They aren't ruined by atrocious, unnecessarily complicated battle systems. I've also seen and played complicated battle systems in other games, and once you get used to them, you start loving them. But in this piece of shit, even when you finally get the gist of it, you're still hating it. I mean, do you understand what's going on here? So here's the thing. It's a turn-based strategy RPG in which you control several teams of characters that always attack whoever they want in a random order of turns. To make matters worse, the RNG is just plain terrible. What's the RNG? The random number generator for doing and receiving damage. I mean, you do get tutorials at the beginning of the game where they attempt to explain the battle system, because there's just so many elements, so many stuff that you have to memorize, so many tactical situations in which you can get into, but when you play it, it's still a huge mess! And let's not talk about the difficulty. The game is sometimes really easy, then sometimes really hard. No exceptions, no patterns, no nothing, no logic. It just goes up in difficulty whenever the fuck it wants. If we add that, the fact that it's completely useless to grind in this game because no matter what you do, the difficulty is still entirely random. I am a huge fan of tactical RPGs and I always welcome a good challenge. I also enjoyed some of heavily criticized games that, to me, were pretty innovative and interesting. The Last Remnant, however, failed in all of that. So in conclusion, I would recommend playing this game just to see if you can dominate the battle system and enjoy it at the same time. If you do, then good for you. I will respect your opinion if it's a positive one. Because in my personal opinion, this game is horrible and it deserves to be destroyed. Hey guys, Erick Landon here again, and I decided to review the 3 Fire Emblems for the Game Boy Advance. I'm a big fan of this series, man. My favorite is Path of Radiance for the GameCube. That was the first Fire Emblem I ever played in my life. But I have a really soft spot for these guys, these 2 right here, and I wanted to make a review of them. So I was usually going to make the review of these 2, but since there's one that came out before them, but only in Japan, and I played that game, I decided maybe I'm going to include it. So this is going to be a 3-part review, short reviews, nothing long really, just me stating my opinion as usual. So, welcome and let's begin. Hello everyone, and welcome to my part 1 of my Fire Emblem reviews. Just a heads up, I'm not going to review the entire series, just the 3 titles that came out for the Game Boy Advance, for now. First, there's the Binding Blade, or Sword, also known as the Sword of Seals. So, to avoid confusion, I'm going to refer to it as Fire Emblem 6 from now on. Indeed, this is the 6th installment in the series, and the first one in which the series' original creator Shouso Kaga wasn't involved. Just like the Famicom or Super Famicom games, this title didn't come out of Japan, even though the main character was later introduced in Super Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube. Years later, fans translated the game and we all got to finally play it in English on an emulator. The people who played the previous titles obviously noticed the big improvement in almost every single thing on Fire Emblem 6, but the gameplay mechanics stay the same. It's a strategy RPG in which you take on hordes of enemies with your army that keeps growing the more characters you recruit or automatically get. You got the weapon triangle as well. Sword beats axe, axe beats lance, lance beats sword. This applies in Magic too in a similar way. The story is a very strong point of the game, just like in any other Fire Emblem. And there's a support conversation system which was now slightly different than in previous titles. With all that said, I think Fire Emblem 6 is a great game that sadly wasn't localized back then. However, there's one particular flaw that can kill your entire experience in this title. First of all, every single entry in the series is hard, and this one's no exception. It's really hard. Not as hard as the Super Famicom titles, mind you, but hard nonetheless. But the factor that can frustrate your situation is the stupid constant reinforcements in some chapters. Getting to fight the same soldiers over and over again is classical in all Fire Emblems, but here they literally cross the line. I don't mean to hate on this game because I already admit it's great and I liked it, but it made me rage quit on several occasions, all due to the gigantic, almost never-ending amount of reinforcements. Like seriously, watch. This is the real deal, the real footage. To make matters worse, they always appear on the enemy turn, meaning you don't get to strategize before. So technically, you're screwed if your weaker allies are within their attack range or if they all decide to attack the same character. That's bullshit. They did this before in previous titles and did it again on newer titles, but like I said, they crossed the damn line here. But anyways, leaving that aside, and in conclusion, Fire Emblem 6 is still a great game, but one that can very frequently take the jelly out of your donut. Hi everyone, welcome to my part 2 of the Fire Emblem reviews for the Game Boy Advance. It's Blazing Sword's turn, my favorite of the three. Now, I usually start saying the positive things about the game I'm reviewing and leave the negative stuff for the end. On this occasion though, I'm gonna start with the negative point, because it's only one. This is a game in which you can choose between 3 protagonists. However, once they all reach a certain point, their paths merge and become one and the same. You can also choose the difficulty, something that you couldn't do in previous entries of the series. Maybe because this was the very first Fire Emblem to leave Japan, a decision that was made thanks to the success of the previous title and the fact that its protagonist was a special character in Super Smash Bros. Melee. Anyways, you can create your own character, as you can see right here. That's not playable, by the way, but instead it's supposed to be a strategist. In other words, you. So this is Lynn, and playing her story is literally playing the tutorial of the game, and that is the only negative point I was talking about. However, it's something that doesn't really demotivate you from playing, it's just tedious and boring. Especially if you've already played some of the other titles before, or hell, any other strategy RPG before. I'm not kidding when I say that. The game treats you during most of the first chapters of the game, especially the first one, as if you were just a kid who has never played a strategy RPG before. I mean, just look. It doesn't really look that bothersome, but the more you go on, the more you get sick of it. And you can't switch the tutorial off, at least not on this part yet. I mean, I just want to play the damn game! I can perfectly figure out most of these things by myself. But okay, I understand that as a matter of fact, if kids were playing a game like this, they will probably need such a tutorial. Actually, that goes for newcomers too, no matter their age. A good example to prove that point is when it comes to battle. A newcomer wouldn't know that most of the time it's up to the RNG to do and receive damage. RNG, which means random number generator, is settled through percentages, something that was really screwed up in some of the previous titles, but it got really improved in this game. Another example is when you have to use items to heal yourself. It all comes down to making your own tactical choices that you think are best for your characters. So, okay, I admit it's not really a negative feature of the game, but more like a bother to some gamers. And that is the only bad part about Blazing Swords. I seriously leave that aside, and this game is a masterpiece. It's not that long, it's not that short, it's challenging even when you're playing in normal, but it doesn't cross the line. The story is one of the best in the entire series. It's one of those that are perfectly led by the main characters that are so likable that you really feel as if you were part of a team, trying to move forward towards the end of a long and arduous journey. And yes, fortunately you can switch off the damn tutorials. You know, what I truly love about the Fire Emblem franchise is that the characters are very well developed, at least the main ones, and their dialogues always match the medieval setting they're scripted on. I applaud the localization teams for this. On a side note, I think it's important to add that this game is the prequel to the previous title I reviewed, The Binding Blade, and tells the story of fathers and mothers of some of the characters we saw on that game. Something similar happened with the first Famicom and Super Famicom titles, but in my personal opinion, both the story and the gameplay, hell, everything in this game is entirely superior to the previous one. It's still hard, like any other Fire Emblem, but at the same time it has a very friendly gameplay, which is very addictive by the way, so it compensates the frustrating parts well. Now go on and get your hands on it, or play it in whatever you want to, because it's one of those games that, if you're into strategy RPGs, you just can't miss. It's that good. Okay guys, that's it for my video and my review. I hope you enjoyed it. As usual, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video with your friends. And stay put for my next review, which will be the third part, the sacred stones of this three-part video series reviews for the Fire Emblem games for the Game Boy Advance. See you next time. Hi everyone, welcome to my part 3 of my reviews of the Fire Emblem series for the Game Boy Advance. So finally we arrive at the last of them, the one responsible for leading temporarily the franchise into success. Back in the day before Awakening saved the franchise, this game used to be considered as the best Fire Emblem ever. Of course, there have always been mixed opinions about that fact, and everybody has their own favorite, like me. But according to the majorities, the Sacred Stones was the best. I can understand why, since it had a tremendously good plot, story-driven characters very well developed, a variety of cast that participated directly in the plot, a friendly gameplay, a good challenge, etc. It had all the great elements to be called a true Fire Emblem. Overall, it was one of the most, if not the most, well-respected title of the franchise and held atop a silver plate by many. However, as time went on, several things made its fame fade into oblivion. In my opinion, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this game. It's not perfect, but it's still great. Nevertheless, complaints arose when people finally played the previous titles for the Famicom and Super Famicom series, fan-translated to English. They discovered Fire Emblem was actually a really hard strategy RPG franchise in which you had to use what little there was at your disposal to level up your characters and beat your enemies with teamwork. That didn't feel quite the same in Blazing Sword, but that one was still locked up in the same out-of-grinding area. Then came the Sacred Stones, with its famous Tower of Balni, in which you could level up your characters. It was the very first title to ever do something like that, and some of the fans were not pissed, just disappointed, because once you level up certain characters, they could swipe the floor with all enemies and bosses for the rest of the game. In other words, the game was broken. However, at least from my perspective, it was still a pain in the ass to beat the tower and or level up your characters, so it had a perfect counterpart to it. What I mean to say is that I disagree with most of the criticism this game has, including some rants about the main characters and how some cliches almost ruin the entire story. Okay, you have the classical frail princess that makes some bad decisions throughout the plot, and her beloved brother, whom which she shares a very strong bond, who just so happens to be allegedly called a master strategist, when in reality he's very emotional most of the time. Make no mistake, I am not making fun of the plot, I am just repeating what a lot of people complain about. But seeing characters like that grow and behave as what they truly are, teens of course, well, it kinda makes perfect sense to me. Yes, it's a classic cliché from anime and manga, especially in JRPGs, but how could you expect these kinds of characters to behave otherwise? In conclusion to that, let's just say that there's a gigantic background behind the story and a very interesting variety of characters that easily make up for whatever clichés there might be. To me, and I'm sure a lot of people as well, the Sacred Stones is one of the best Fire Emblems ever, maybe not the best, but it's far from deserving all the preposterous insults it has. Come on, there are a lot of JRPGs with war stories that are praised extremely good nowadays. But in any case, to each their own. I think it's a great game with a very addictive gameplay, two main characters to choose from, each with their own battles and situations, decent music, nice graphics, and a big damn etc. of positive traits. Right guys, that concludes my 3-part series of reviews of this fantastic and fabulous saga for the Game Boy Advance. Maybe someday I'm going to review the other Fire Emblem titles, especially my favorite ones, which are the GameCube and the Wii versions. But that's a story for another time. As usual, I want to thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to share the video with your friend, to subscribe to my channel, and to share your own opinion on the matter on the comment section below. That's it. See you next time. Mimana Iyar Chronicle, or Iyar Chronicle, is a game developed by Kogato Studio. You wouldn't know who they are since most of their games are pretty unknown and have never left Japan. But miraculously, this game caught Axis Games' attention and they decided to localize it to North America. So the big question here is this a good game? Because if somehow you ended up in this video, it might be because you probably heard of it before. You may have also made a little research on it, finding out that it was panned by critics with negative reviews. Well, let me tell you something. In my opinion, it's a good game. The problem with most reviewers is that they misunderstood this game. You can't take it seriously, it's sort of like a comedy. And that's what really stands out on Mimana Iyar Chronicle, the story and the characters. They are hilarious, they are fun, very likable. Come on, the main character is always pissed and everything seems to infuriate him, especially his co-star who hires him as her bodyguard for her special mission. And the way he gets angry most of the time is extremely laughable. Another thing to note is that this game has an amazing voice acting cast in English, something that usually not happens in rare and unknown games like this. We have the talents of Johnny Young Bosch, Laura Bailey, Karen Strassman, Wendy Lee, Liam O'Brien. I mean, seriously? Yes, seriously. So, if you're gonna play this game, be aware that it's a comedy and that, as a matter of fact, that is its strong point. The music and the graphics are fine. I have no praise for that, nor do I have any complaints. So what's left? The core of a video game. The gameplay, especially the battle system. And the very reason why this title in particular received so much negative criticism. First of all, it's an action RPG with your classic 4 party members, in which 3 of them are controlled by an AI. But the biggest complaint everyone has is how dull the combat feels most of the time. You literally go around smashing everything with your sword, while your party members can every now and then do absolutely nothing. Of course, you can change these things in the menu in order to make them act with certain patterns, but it doesn't work all the time. So yes, it's a little annoying. Not frustrating or hard at all, just plain tedious sometimes. But what's more tedious is the dungeon exploring. There's no music in most of them, and the random encounters seem to be more annoying than in other games. Perhaps because once you get into battle, you already know what's gonna be tedious. Nevertheless, I think the critics went too far in this game. It's not as tedious as they make it sound, so it's not as dull either. So why the negativity towards it? I really don't understand. It's a pretty fun game that I would recommend to anyone looking for a short adventure to have a good laugh, since the game has a lot of really hilarious moments, and enjoy a simple gameplay with nice story and well-developed characters. In conclusion, just go and play it to at least have your own opinion about it. Hey guys, what's up? So as promised, I'm going to show you today how bad Dragon Quest Swords is. So welcome to my exclusive video for that horrible game, which I'm going to prove to you just how terrible it is. And well, this is not exactly a review. I am not going to cover every single aspect of the game. I'm just here to cover what I think ruined the entire gaming experience and destroyed the game, for me and in my opinion. So with that clarified, let's begin. Dragon Quest Swords, The Masked Queen and the Tower of Mirrors, an exclusive for the Wii. Dragon Quest Swords came out back on July 12, 2008 in Japan, but it wasn't released in North America until 7 months later on February 19, 2008. I don't know why this happened. Perhaps it was because some good people wanted to prevent this horrible abomination from reaching our lands. Alas, if that were to be true, they were only delaying the inevitable. The creators of the Dragon Quest series, JEA, Armor Project led by famous Yuji Horii, thought it was a good idea to make a spin-off in order to approach new gamers, especially young ones, to the series. However, the task of creating this terrible game was not their responsibility. Nope, this fell into the hands of 2 studios known as Genius Sonority, known for working on the Pokemon games for the GameCube, and Aiding, also known as Racing, a company that usually makes shoot-em-ups and fighting games. Well, guess what happened with that fusion? An on-rail first-person RPG, Dragon Quest Swords. So in other words, they wanted kids to play this game, not exactly adults. Could that be the reason why the game was made like this? To exploit the so-called successful Wii mode functions, such as aiming like an idiot to the screen and using the controller as a sword? But the problem wasn't the idea. No, the idea was actually pretty good. The marketing strategy was admirable, but the execution of this idea was simply terrible. There is one single thing that ruins the entire gaming experience, and it's the hit detection. The Wii and its terrible sensor bar were nothing but a primitive attempt of what we know today as the VR. We all know that. But dragging the name of the well-respected series, a very important, historical and cult-following franchise to produce this fucking piece of shit was no excuse. The hit detection only seems to work just fine in the tutorial. You actually don't need to be standing up in front of the screen. You can also play sitting on a couch. It doesn't matter anyway, since even moving around in this game is a damn pain in the ass as well. Ah, god damn it. Once you're on your own, specifically in the world map, out there in the fields, you will get your first lame-ass experiences with the controller. Once in a while, you'll probably be okay and the hit detection might actually work good, but most of the time, trust me, it will not. But hey, sometimes it will. Especially if some of the enemies are outside the range, yes, the range the programmers created for all the stupid-ass patterns to synchronize with the controller. As you can see, making vertical, diagonal and horizontal lines can somewhat work, but that's only because those are exactly the patterns they created within a range that encircles the center of the screen. If we add the fact that you will get tired very easily trying to hit these motherfuckers, whether you're a kid or an adult, only makes the experience much, much worse. Imagine how hard this translates to boss battles. You really need to practice for hours to at least have a chance of performing well against them, because even if you're doing well, the fact that you have to swing your arm over and over again trying to hit them for almost an hour and then cover from their attacks is pretty much insane. Seriously. Like I said, it doesn't really matter if you're sitting on your sweaty ass or standing in the middle of the room fighting your way through all these monsters in random encounters. The fact is that within half hour or less, you will not only be tired but frustrated for acting like a fucking retard in front of the screen. And the one thing that will piss the shit out of you is exactly what I said at the beginning. The atrocious, unbelievable, exhausting and horribly programmed hit detection. That will boil your damn nerves to hell enough to make you want to destroy the damn game. No! I have nothing against the characters, the story, the art of Akira Toriyama, or pretty much anything else in this game. My only problem remains with the tiresome and repetitive gameplay and its wretched interaction with the Wii controller and its sensor bar. It's so bad that it is literally one of the worst JRPGs I have ever played in my life. You might think that I am exaggerating, and maybe I do owe you more in-detail explanations on the game to convince you of how bad it is, but I am not exactly a good reviewer, and all I wanted was to show you the one thing that ruined the game for me, and I think I've proven my point. Dragon Quest Source is an embarrassment to the series. Okay guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget that this is always my opinion. Sometimes I exaggerate a bit, but really I think this is one of those games that might not look as bad as in a video. I think you actually need to play this game in order to understand how really bad it is, because it doesn't really look that bad. Before I played this game for the first time in my life many years ago, I was just surprised about how strong the criticism was towards it, because I saw videos and I thought it was a good idea, but I was aware that most games that use the Wiimote or the interaction with the sensor bar are not actually good. Not bad, but just not good. They're annoying. But I just thought, this is Dragon Quest. I mean, it has to be good. It can't be that bad. But when I first played it, man, I was just so pissed off. I couldn't believe how bad it was. And then, a few years later, I played it again, and it was the same situation. I played it again in order to see if something had changed, if maybe the first time I was already pissed off or something like that. But it wasn't that. I was in a very good mood that day, a few days ago actually, when me and my friend recorded this video, and it's just incredible how terrible the experience is. I mean, I'm not saying this applies to everybody. There are some people obviously out there who will probably like this game or even love it, but to me it was just a very atrocious experience. I don't want to play this game ever again, and I just want to forget about it. Sorry if that offends you. In any case, this is my opinion, remember that, and don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. Don't forget also that I always upload videos every Tuesday, Friday and Sunday. So stay tuned for more and see you next time.